How you doing, Eric?
Oh, doing pretty good. I,
All right.
I just saw your movie, so I'm doing pretty great actually.
Oh, I like
So
your backdrop. I'm always a fan of the guys. I'm gonna throw it on my socials. I always like the guys and gals that put the backdrop up. So what's up?
yeah. Well, I'm here with Christian Sesma, the director of Lights Out. I got to say, when I got this, I'm like, oh, Frank Grillo, Scott Adkins. I mean, Jamie King. Always love seeing Jamie King. I'm from Omaha, so it's always good get a little hometown rooting for her. Dermot
Mhm.
Mulroney, Mekhi Phifer. As soon as I saw that, I'm like, oh yes, get this in my face right now. So how did this project come to you? Because you've done quite a bit of work. You made a bunch of movies, and with some of my favorite actors. Worked with Chad Law. Looks like you'll work with him again.
Yeah,
Um,
we got a bunch going on. Yeah.
yeah, it's like a perfect recipe. It's like, what's a movie Eric will like? Well, he likes this, so here you go. And I ate it
Yeah.
all up.
Yeah. So Chad and I had just wrapped Section 8 a couple years ago with the same producer, Brandon Burrows, and we had literally just wrapped it like Christmas time. And then we had like the break, and then they had another movie called Lights Out. They had the script, and somehow there was an opening in schedules, and the producer was like crazy. He was like, "Dude, let's go right back into production right away. Are you down to do that?" I was like, sure, let's read the script." So read the script, thought it was really fun, thought it was like an old school Lionheart, Roadhouse kind of throwback. And I felt like the challenge for me was as a director, like, how do I make that a current movie? How do I make this cool and current, but also kind of ground it and really character driven with Frank's character, Makai's character. And so, man, like next thing I know, we're in pre-production, and it went really, really fast. And that is something extremely rare in this business. Nothing ever goes fast, but it happened. It happened super fast, and all the talent that came on that the producer put together is and was amazing. So it was like, kid in the candy store with a great cast putting together what was a trippy like fight movie. So we really were trying to ground it as we went and just really trying to make each character their own, as we went through it.
How does development go? Because you mentioned you had the script and then you go into production, but like how much maybe not so much in this, but like in past movies you've done, like where you're working on the script or you're developing the script and then shoot it, or do you just get the script and go, or what's
I
kind
think
of
in
your
the
history with that?
I think in the independent action world, action thriller world, I think development is a luxury a lot of times. So a lot of times I'm doing that in pre-production. So it's like I'll get the script, people will like it enough to kind of start getting some casting going, making offers to cast. And then once people start signing on, we start working on that during the pre-production process. Then we start kind of breaking down some of these things. Is there any holes here? This, that, and the other. How do we kind of elevate this? How do we take these characters? How do we find different moments? I always say that I go mining, right? I'm trying to find things within the script that I can bring out that's not there. I'm always trying to find the stuff that's not there.
Yeah, and also figure like movies like this have a lower budget than say like something like John Wick, who's got like I don't know what their budget is either, probably like
Yeah,
60, 100 million or whatever.
this would be like the lunch budget on like 1 or 2 days of John Wick.
But I mean, like, so when you go into a movie like Lights Out, like, what does Lights Out look like with $100 million budget, say, versus what you have?
Roadhouse. I mean, whatever Amazon spent on Roadhouse, probably like 50 million bucks.
Yeah.
The Jake Gyllenhaal Roadhouse. So I think look at that, and that's like the big budget version of this.
So the same. Cool.
I mean, that's what it is. It really when I watched that, like it's funny because when we did this, we didn't know Roadhouse was even in production. Like it didn't go into production until like 6 months later. We didn't hear about it. So when Gyllenhaal and everybody came on, they're doing Roadhouse again. That's crazy. Then we started hearing more about it, and we were already in post production for this movie. We're like, man, we're going to get a lot of comparisons for sure.
Yeah.
And
Oh, oh, well, I guess where I was getting at with the question though is because like I'll look at something like this, and then you mentioned Roadhouse or movies like that, and I just don't understand why one costs $100 million where the other one costs like $5 million. Like they both look great. They're, they both have awesome casts. And so where does money go with more expensive one versus the less expensive one?
I think actors, different rates, things like that. Gyllenhaal is very probably really, really expensive. And I wouldn't say expensive. I mean, he's a giant A-list star. I mean, I'm saying like I think actors' pays are a big part of that for sure. You're just different. You're just doing it at a different level. You have a lot more days to shoot. Let's just say that too. You know.
Yeah. And so also you get to work on a lot of stuff. So well, like what's that kind of like? Because there's some, filmmakers who get like a movie and then 12 years goes by, maybe they do another one, and then you got directors like you like just keep working and keep doing awesome stuff. Like is that like a work ethic thing, or is that just opportunity, or where's that come from?
Both, right? It's like what's that saying? Like luck is opportunity meets preparedness or something like that,
Yeah.
right? So I think it's a lot of that for sure. I mean, I don't. I think the directors that are able or choose to take giant time off between that. I mean, that's a luxury I can't even comprehend. Like just financially, I'm like, like I have a family, I have kid in college, this that, and so I'm like I could never even afford to not work, even no matter what. But I don't think I wouldn't want to. I look at giant directors like Ridley Scott. I mean, Ridley's like that guy never stops working. Not just even if he's not directing, he's producing. So it really has like 3, 4 projects like every year, So I think it's a definite work ethic. I love making movies. I'm grateful that I have an opportunity to do this for a living. So I'm always just trying to find new things to do for sure.
I'm seeing on your IMDb, speaking of work ethic, you talk about or on the IMDb it mentions that Robert Rodriguez's Rebel Without a Crew was a big inspiration for you, which kind of I've read that too, and that kind of goes hand in hand with what you're saying.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I look. It's funny because I've never met Robert ever, and yeah, this is a director and filmmaker that directly inspired me to pick up a camera. Just through that. I mean, so also being Latino, I'm Mexican American as well. So there's a lot of parallel storylines. I mean, totally guerrilla. Like I didn't have the opportunity to go to film school, so I was self-taught all the way through top to bottom. So yeah, man, it's always been like pick up a camera and just go.
Yeah, well, if I remember correctly, at the end of the book, it said something, wrote something about, just go out there and make your movie. I'll bring the popcorn. So you should probably go, hey, made a bunch of them.
Right. Bring me
When
the
you
popcorn.
when you
Robert,
coming
what's
over with
up?
the
Come over,
popcorn?
bro. Robert, roll through. Bring the popcorn.
So, yeah, you've also done some writing. So what goes into the process of, I'm going to direct something I wrote versus I'm going to direct something someone else wrote? Like what goes through your mind making those choices?
Yeah, look, I got into this business as a writer director. I still write and direct. Just recently, it's just been one of those things where I've been directing a lot of scripts that weren't my own. But I still write quite a bit. And, I definitely have projects coming up that I have written. They're just a little bit different on the genre. So, I think the process has just been something it's become a more personal thing as opposed to a means to an end.
This, what do you mean? Like just when you're writing, you just like have this great idea you got to put down, or
Yeah, I think a lot of things like life things will inspire kind of what kind of stories do I want to make. Like, a lot of things that I'm writing now that I mean, things scripts that I've written are things a little bit left field, like aren't just direct straight action things. Like I have a crazy Latinx rom-com. I have a action Christmas story. And so I have different genres I'm trying to like explore just as a storyteller.
is there any genres that you haven't tackled yet? Whether movies you've actually made versus or movies that you haven't written yet. That it's like, oh man, I'd really love to do a Look Who's Talking 14 or
Right.
whatever, just to see if I can do it.
Um, Look, I mean, it's funny. I did like my second little tiny movie I ever did with was this horror movie, and like I've never. It's not that I'm not a horror fan. I like horror movies, but like I'm not. That's something that I wouldn't tackle. I will say I would definitely try to tackle a period piece, like a period piece drama.
Yeah. What
Yeah,
is about the what is about that genre that kind
I
of
just feel like
excites?
I just like one of my favorite movies I watch all the time is like Dancing with Wolves. It's like just this giant sweeping, like 1883, 1920, like Taylor Sheridan's like, it's just a giant sweeping epic Western or epic period piece. I think that's a really fun, like you have the wardrobes, you have the scope, you have, I mean, it just requires a different look to everything. And I think that's really cool and really challenging. But I think it's also as a storyteller, you can really like stretch your legs there.
Also, another thing, with doing action, I got the privilege of interviewing Scott Adkins once, and I asked him
Yeah.
what an action movie script looks like. Like, like do you write the blow by blow on it, or do you write just this happens, action ensues, and you figure it out later? And he kind of leaned towards the just action ensues, and we figure it out on
Yeah,
the
I
day.
think
But like,
they
what's your take on that?
Yeah, it's a little like you write the action sequences not specific. You basically say, you basically give a broad scope of what happens. You're like, these people go at it, this happened. You don't choreograph the fight scene or the action bits for the most part. You definitely just give a broad overview of what's happening in there. And if there's something specific that you want to happen that helps propel the story, you gotta put that in there too. But definitely not like a left punch, right punch, double kick, pull a gun. It's more just they go at it.
I'm guessing if you got that granular, most people would just put the script down and go, next one.
Right. I've seen a lot, and I'm like, man, I'm done. Can't do that.
So like, in your estimation, like when you're looking at a script, what kind of jumps out at you? Like, ooh, this one's good, or what kind of turns you off, or like you're at like page 9 or whatever, and go, nope, not working for me.
Yeah, I always go by like I learned this early on, and it's super true as I've kind of grown the business. Is like scripts should read north to south, not east to west. Meaning like you should just flow down, not like. And I really get turned off by over description of scenes. Like that means like, dude, if you want to write a novel, write a novel. Don't write a giant clump. And then it's just like it's overly written, and a lot of times new. You could always tell the experience level of the writer by how they describe the scene. And if it's very minimalist and very clean and concise, they're a sharp writer because like they understand that it's not their job to paint the scene. They're just there to kind of set the structure and the blueprint. It's almost like like you're building a house. Like the script is the blueprint and the foundation, but a lot of times they'll want to be like, oh, they have orange walls with gold sconces and this lighting and this, like, you're like, that's the production designer's job as we go in.
The carpenter must feel this way while he's nailing the
Yeah,
boards together. It's like that
totally.
doesn't need to be in the blueprint.
This wallpaper print would go in this room. I mean, that's not movie making, really.
Yeah. Well, we do have a what's in the box segment, and in the box we pull a movie out of the box every week, and we have people put movies in the box, and these are movies that
Cool.
are either personal to you, or maybe it's man, this movie's really good and no one ever talks about it. I wish more people would see this. What's a movie or two that you'd like to put in the box?
Ooh, damn. That's like totally underrated.
I mean, like, for instance, I can't remember who. Someone put in Amazing Spider-Man 2 because they thought that movie got crapped on, and then they just went on about like how great it was. So, all right, we'll put it in the
Right,
box set. There's other
right.
people. It's like here's a foreign indie movie that no one's ever heard of, and they put that in the box. So it's just kind of whatever you want.
God, man, I'm trying. That's a tough question because it's almost like you just have this library of knowledge in the back here, like movies. I'm like, what would that be? Ooh, man, what would be in the box? Superman 1, maybe? Even
Christopher
though
Reeve.
yeah, I think it's one of those things like just as like as a cinematic, we're in such a superhero era of movies. Me and my buddies always say that first 65 minutes is the most epic still like superhero telling of to the day, you know? And we forget that the writer of Godfather wrote Superman 1.
Yeah, Mario Puzo.
Like, what? You're like, oh, dude, yeah. It's like, wait, you wrote Godfather, then you went right off and did Superman 1, which I feel is like laid this foundation for like all the superhero movies and origin tales to the day. So I think it's one of those things where I don't know if it's like, it's obviously not underrated because it was a giant hit, but I always look at movies that influenced the time and the generation of things, you know, and we totally forget that this had such a direct impact. Same with Aliens. I say this quite a bit because Aliens is like, again, one of my all-time favorites. You know, without Aliens, James Cameron's Aliens, you wouldn't have anything like Halo and all this like military sci-fi gritty. Like it just had a look that changed the whole game. So, I mean, there's a lot of things like that that I just look back and go, man, without this, you wouldn't have this that would have just spawned the current aesthetic of movies today.
Yeah. And I guess kind of on the same because I really enjoyed Lights Out. What's something from your own filmography that's like I'm really proud of this and I wish it hit a lot harder.
Night Crew. Yeah, the movie called The Night Crew. That one is definitely one of my personal favorites, and like it just came out at a weird time and a weird like it was weird platform. It was just a weird way it got distributed. It just kind of like fell into the radar, and it was funny because I was like, man, this is gonna be the one that throws me to a different level. And it just kind of like it was weird how it got put out, you know. Um, I think it's super good. It was again talk about like it was definitely like my take on the like superhero vampire genre kind of thing, you know. It was like action, it was like Predator-ish kind of thing. So yeah, The Night Crew, it's on Prime.
Awesome. Well, Lights Out, if I'm not mistaken, comes out February 16th.
Yep.
And great cast, great action, great everything. Just get it in your face as soon as you can. Christian, thanks for
Thanks,
joining
man.
me today and wish you all the luck.
Thanks, bro. Appreciate it.
All right, all right. And